Well, hello everybody. Darren Saul here, your host of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. Hope everybody's doing fantastically well. I have the lovely Nicole Santer here in the studio. How are you, Nicole?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. It's episode 110 for everybody out there. And today we're going to be chatting about extraordinary events and Nicole's brand new event platform, EventBuzz360. So for everybody out there that doesn't know Nicole Santer grew up in Sydney's eastern suburbs, down the road from the famous Bondi Beach. Her parents and grandparents were in the catering business, so you could say Nicole was born into the industry. Although Nicole didn't follow into her family's footsteps straight away, after working in the corporate world and traveling, she decided to join the family business, and it was evident that she was highly skilled at organizing events. In 1998, Nicole left her family business and launched her own business, Extraordinary Events, organizing a wide range of events for blue chip corporate clients. Nicole is here to chat about her business journey from being born into family catering to managing large-scale, high-pressured events, and why she has launched a new events platform right in the middle of COVID-19, when the industry has stopped. So Nicole, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes, I'm great, thank you. Given the circumstances as we're filming this right in the middle of COVID still.
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
It's been a very crazy time for everybody, especially for the events industry.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm a photographer, so I also do a lot of event work, and my event work is pretty much, grinded to a halt. It's just starting to pick back up now. There's some smaller events that I'm doing, but it's nothing like the scale that I was doing before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, and I've kept in touch with a lot of people in the industry, and it's a tough time for events right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is.
But we'll get into that scenario a little bit later on. But I just want to hear a little bit more about your journey and how you got into events and why you love events so much. So tell us just a bit about your passion for events and how you.
Yeah, well, I didn't really when I left school, I didn't really know that I wanted to be an event manager. It wasn't like that. It was not a first thing that ever came to me. In fact, I didn't even know, it wasn't even really heard of going into events back then. I'm in the old school, but it wasn't a thing back then, and really most people kind of came in the events industry through that they were a florist or they were in, drama, or it sort of came in from various different angles. They were just, they came from florist, or they were in drama, or they were interior decorator, and it sort of came that way, or they were in theatre and then they moved across. So that's kind of how the events industry sort of kind of evolved.
Yep.
And then we kind of started growing it, and sort of people started to realize that it's great for product launches and conferences, and it started to grow, and these meetings started to getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I had one of those moments where you kind of wake up and you go, aha, that's what I could be. I could do that. I kind of left school, and when I left school, I actually went and started to I couldn't wait to get out of school. I always knew I wanted to be in business, and I was a bit sort of in a rush to get out. And my mother said to me, "You're not leaving school until you've got a job." Well, the next day I got myself a job, working for a management company that actually looked after bands.
Right. Wow.
And I thought that was pretty cool. I was just like a little girl in the office helping out with various bits and pieces. So I had no skills and no experience. And then I went and did a secretarial and business course, just because my mother told me I had to have some background and something to support me if I, was wanting to go out there in the real world, and something to fall back on, which I highly recommend for any young person to have some sort of skills to fall back on. And, and I went and got myself a job at Barclays Bank in the foreign exchange department, which
Oh
was
boy.
so different from events.
Far cry from events, my God.
Far cry from events, 100%. So that was kind of, and I felt like, it was so different. It was so dry and different to what I was kind of doing. But I felt so good because it was professional, and I thought, this is great. Got to wear a nice suit to work every day, kind of thing, as most people don't do now. That's right. I was dressed up and I was wearing my high heels and I was fabulous. So I thought that's okay.
Love it.
Then I actually worked in another company that was in the foreign exchange department. So I was actually headhunted for that kind of a role as well. So that was great. So that was working in my favor. And then I decided to go overseas for a year. And after being overseas for a year, I decided, you know what, I really actually want to come back and work in my parents' business and grow that business. And so I did that. I came back and I said to my parents, look, I'd like to work with you. I think I can grow this into a massive organization. And they went, well, you can come work for us, but they didn't have the same vision that I had.
They were purely catering, weren't they? It was purely
they were in catering, and I wanted to grow all sorts of areas and package foods and all sorts of things, which they were not quite keen on doing.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I had one son, and I thought to myself, who was 2 and or 1 at the time rather, and I thought, you know what? And then I heard somebody say that they just did a corporate event, and I thought, that's amazing. That would be so much fun to do corporate events and private events and, weddings or whatever. And I thought to myself, being young and ambitious and, not thinking too deeply about anything, I decided, no, I'm going to start an events company.
Right.
So I registered the name, I did the business cards, the logos, the whole bit. Then realised I hated the name that I chose and had to do that all again.
Right. Oh my God.
And you learn from these experiences.
You do.
I think, coming up with a company name is not an easy thing to do, because you're going to be with that company name for a very long time.
Definitely.
So you kind of want to feel that you get that right from day dot. And, I didn't. I came up with one that I thought was pretty ordinary, and it certainly wasn't extraordinary. And then I took it to a graphic designer, and she said to me, the name is really ordinary. And I said to her, you're actually right. It's really ordinary. We have to come up with something better. And I said,
we need Ordinary Events.
And then that's how Extraordinary Events kind of came out, because we said we need something extraordinary.
Oh, that's great.
And she said, well, hang on, how about Extraordinary Events? I said, actually, that fits.
That's a good
But
story.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to spell the word extraordinary.
Oh my God. Yep.
And you don't think about these things when you come up with a business name. You think, oh yeah, everyone can spell extraordinary, but people go extraordinary and they extraordinary, and oh my God, it's
is there a hyphen? Is it one word?
Hyphenated.
Is it 2 words? Yeah, I can just imagine.
But we got through that. We managed that, and we spell it every time what we're doing our email, we spell it for everybody, so that we don't want to assume that they know how to spell it. We just spell it. And, I decided, so I'm out there and I'm thinking, okay, great, I can do this. And I get on the phone and I, open the yellow pages and start phoning companies and getting them on board and going to have meetings with them. And it wasn't long before I won my first event, and I nearly had like, oh my God, I've won an event. God. And when you win your first event, you go, oh my God, it's like winning lotto. You go, I'm a real business now, because I've won. So I've started. I've won a job.
Yep. How cool! Like in those days, you could actually pick up the yellow pages and just
that's right.
Talk to somebody and organize something. Nowadays, that doesn't happen anymore.
No, it's a different approach now. But I won this event, and I thought to myself, and I didn't win a small event. I won an awards night.
Wow!
So, and it was for 400 or 500 people, and I thought, this is amazing. This is going to be great. I have no idea how to put an event together.
My God.
So, and I thought to myself, I turned to my husband at that point and I said to him, who's a management consultant. My husband's a management consultant. So, he's very methodical. Yeah. And I'm very, airy fairy, I suppose, at times. Yeah, yeah. But I said to him, I've got this awards night. Here's all the specs for it and what we need to do. How do I put this into a really great project plan that I can make sure I don't miss anything? And, so he developed for me on a piece of paper an events methodology.
Wow, great.
And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. This is game-changing stuff, this. Yeah. No one had said, I'd never seen anything like this. And I'd never, and for a long time, I had never seen anyone else do this for a long time. I started going out there and marketing myself and telling people how we have this events methodology, and I would show my events methodology. I laminated it on a piece of paper and laminated it and showed people, and people were so impressed because it was not done. People would turn up at an event, at a meeting, and they would say, here's all my designs, and I had none because I had no clients. So I went with my events methodology and said,
brilliant.
We don't show you what people do because everyone has different tastes. So we're just going to show you our events methodology.
Fantastic. Love it.
It's all comes down to a bit of smoke and mirrors sometimes, doesn't it? But look, we did the event. It was phenomenal. And, I learned how to do proper project planning.
Yep.
And, 20 years later, I've still used that events methodology and I'm teaching it now as well. So I've actually developed an online course for it because I feel that people go to university, they come out of university after doing a course in event management, but they don't really have the structure that they to put on events.
Yep. Yep.
Especially if you're going to be end up doing large scale events. There's so many moving components that you need to have the structure around it.
Yeah.
And I remember going to hear an event manager talk, in my early days, because I was really keen to learn everything as possible and, pay for some courses and all the rest of it. And there was a lady called Lena Malouf, and she came up and she got on the stage and she said, if you want to be in events, you need to do the paperwork. Paperwork is everything.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, the paperwork. We've got to, and let me tell you, the paperwork is quite a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
And it's made it a lot easier nowadays, with, programs and, Excel spreadsheets and whatnot. It makes it a lot easier and, files and stuff. But, in those early days, it was a little bit more messier than that.
Yeah.
So, but my events methodology made things really easy to kind of do it. So that's kind of how I got into events.
Isn't that great that you're still using that methodology to this day? And nothing else has come close. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, look, and I've been, at times consulting to other companies as well, and they've looked at it and gone, oh my God, this is what we need in-house. And, I did it for Transport for New South Wales. They said, we do a lot of events, but we need an events methodology. So I kind of came in there and helped them structure their events so that it's a little bit easier for them to kind of manage them.
Yeah, incredible. And you brought up a really interesting point before, like you said, big events like that can, they're huge and there's a lot of moving parts and they can get pretty crazy and stressful. Like I'm a photographer and I know that I'm running around like a mad chook, on a smaller wedding even. So how do you handle that pressure, both the pressure moving up towards the execution of the event and the pressure on the event night to make sure that everything's, hasn't gone off the rails?
Yeah, look, the events industry is a highly stressful industry and you have to have a very composed nature. And I'm quite calm in stressful situations and you need to have a calm, clear head. Yeah. If you work through, we work through the events methodology, and the events methodology actually helps you because at the end of the events methodology, you have the tools that you need to be on site that will help you manage the event from beginning to end. Right. And by having these tools, it makes you not frantic. It makes you a lot more calm.
Yeah.
Like at the end, last October, I did an event for 1,500 people. We had 80 volunteers. We had a crew of about probably close to 200.
Wow.
You know, it was a big event, and I think it was like we did something like about 30 events in like 4 days. It was quite a lot of moving components. And when I say, you know, 30 events, like we had 10 breakfast meetings going on at the same time simultaneously at different locations. So that can be quite stressful. And, you know, if you've got really good procedures and plans in place, then you can cope with that when things go wrong. Because the biggest thing with events is knowing what's going to go wrong and how you're going to react to when things do go wrong. And, you know, being a bit more contemplative and, you know, understanding, okay, if my speaker doesn't turn up or the mic doesn't work or whatever it might be, what am I going to do? How are we going to, you know, troubleshoot that?
Yeah. And obviously you've always got contingency plans and everything.
Well, you don't always.
Yeah, if the bride doesn't turn up, there's no contingency.
Well, I'll tell you a story that happened to me. I mean, there's always, I mean, every event manager has plenty of mishit stories that happened that, you know, you couldn't have foreseen. It's about how you troubleshooted it. And I think if you understand that the events game is, things are going to go wrong. And then you go, okay, I know things are going to go wrong, and then I'm just going to be able to manage those things when they go wrong.
It's so true.
So if you know that they're going to come up and something's going to happen, then you're okay, and you don't know what that's going to be. I've had speakers stuck in LA when I'm doing a conference in Sydney. I've had my AV crew on the other side of the Sydney Harbour Bridge when I'm doing an event in the city, and there was a big accident on the Harbour Bridge that they actually had to bring a helicopter on. They closed off all the roads. This is 9:30 in the morning, and my AV crew are on the north side of the bridge. We're on the east, and I had to start this event without them. So they'd bumped in the night before a lot of the equipment. So a lot of the equipment was there. It was just fine-tuning a few things. Here I am in a white suit, a white pantsuit, climbing under stages and drapes and things in my white suit. And through a mobile phone, on the phone to them, I'm using it. I don't know if anyone's seen an AV desk, but it's like
it's like cord everywhere. It's crazy.
It's cord. It's like controls everywhere. It's quiet, and there's screens everywhere. I had to. I single-handedly had to manage this whole AV desk, and I had crew, you know, welcoming guests into this event, and you know, we're here we are doing, but the client didn't know. Like the client knew that there was issues, but none of the guests knew. They didn't know what was going on. They thought everything was perfect. So no, it's as long as it runs smoothly, you know, it's kind of good. You know, I've had, you know, glass shattered over the tables when we're just about to start an event, and you know, we're about to open the doors of this event, and you know, a glass from the venue shattered everywhere. So we had to quickly get the crew all in, clean it all up, start again, set the tables. And you know, it's fun. It's a little stressful, but I kind of like that.
You get a high on the buzz. I get a high on the buzz.
I get a buzz out of it. I actually am a little bit kind of crazy like that. I actually like the adrenaline that it brings. And it does bring an adrenaline to you. And I quite like that. I'm a bit like that when I go to the airport. I kind of like to be leave at the last minute to get that sort of.
Oh my God.
That's a bit of a panic.
My Lord, that's really pushing it. Oh my God.
He wants to be there 2 hours, 3 hours before. And I kind of like leave it to the last minute.
On purpose.
So that I get that adrenaline.
let down the tires 5 minutes before on purpose.
That's right. I think anyone in the events industry must like that adrenaline a little bit. You know, secretly they must love it, you know?
And it's funny, you know, when I listen to you, I'm chuckling on the inside because as a photographer, it's the same. Like whatever's happening outside, as long as you make everybody think that you're in control and you know what you're doing, everything's fine. So you just smile and everything is fantastic. But underneath, you're like, my God, you're scrambling and you're changing and you're doing and checking and something else is
Yeah,
wrong. But if you just keep smiling and say, yep, that's great. Let's just do another one. That's
yeah,
beautiful. Let's just do one more.
it
Everybody thinks, oh,
is.
that's the process.
Look, there are some event managers out there that kind of lose the plot at
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
and they can't cope.
Yep.
But generally, most top of event professionals really can cope with, the stress of it, and they're kind of used to it. They're quite calm.
Yep.
And when everyone else is running around going, oh my gosh,
Yep.
you go, yep, that's okay. We'll sort that all out. No problem, and just, the calmer you are, the more you'll be able to think clearly.
Yep.
It's like, any stressful situation that you might be in, if you can't think clearly if you're full of anxiety and stress with it,
So true. Fantastic. I love it. You should have a t-shirt. Keep calm, trust your event coordinator.
Well, someone used to say to me in my parents' business, he used to go, no stress, princess.
Love it. Love it. And so let's talk a bit about what's happening right now. I mean, how has the industry adapted? Because I've spoken to a few people in a similar vein, similar field.
Yeah.
But everybody's got a different take on things. People are pivoting in different ways. So what's your
Yes.
take on, what's been happening in this time for the events industry and some of the suppliers?
Well, it's really interesting because events covers so many different aspects, right from private events, birthday parties, right through to engagements, weddings, anniversaries. That even, you can even throw in their funerals in there as well.
Yep.
And right through to product launches, incentives, comps, and the list kind of goes on. So, in each of these sectors, in the beginning, everything's kind of had to stop.
Yep.
And, there was very few companies that could really pivot quickly enough to capitalize on this. And, Zoom was one of them. Zoom was one of the first companies that were able to quickly go, hey, here we are, we're Zoom. You can Zoom multiple people and you can have your meetings through the company, and also probably Google Teams.
Yep.
So organizations were able to, still function and have meetings through their computers with their colleagues. But in terms of events, that was kind of like, you got all the phone calls in March that everything was cancelled, and we're going to do it all in potentially August when things get better. Now we've kind of gone past August and now we're into September.
Yep.
And now people are starting to talk about early next year potentially. So look, the events industry is made up a lot of small business owners, and then we've got all the venues.
And the
as
venues
well.
is an issue as well. Like I have a very good friend of mine who's a wedding coordinator as well. And as she always says, you've got to make sure the venues are actually even going to be here in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Start postponing and doing whatever because...
So a lot of the big venues quickly moved over to being facilities for people who are coming back from overseas to put them into quarantine, and they were able to facilitate that.
Yep.
But they've had to make a lot of layoffs. Hundreds and thousands of people have lost their jobs through COVID, in corporates, in big organizations like the hotels. They've had to really scale back. The airlines have had to scale back, tourism, destinations. We were doing, before COVID, we were doing destination birthdays, destination weddings, destination conferences and incentives. So there was a lot of travel going on in the events industry. So everything kind of had to stop. And, caterers had to quickly pivot. So caterers started, making food and home delivering them. So they were saying, don't don't not support us, we're going to home deliver our things and we're going to package it up in a box, and they would go to
contact free and all that stuff.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and get the balloons from our balloon supplier, and we're going to put our catering together, and we're going to hand deliver it to you at your front door, because we want you to still be able to celebrate your birthday, even if it's just you on your own or with your partner or your husband, your wife. So it kind of really, kind of changed a lot of things. And then we were seeing people, we were seeing some of the entertainers entertaining from their homes.
Yep.
We saw, and trying to keep the spirits of everybody up. And you've got to remember, this is globally, we organise 30,000 business and private events a day around the world.
Whoa.
It's a $1.1 trillion industry.
Wow. Oh my God.
So we've really had to make some huge sacrifices. I mean, we've now got kids graduating from high school and university and stuff like that. And there's no ceremony. It has to be done differently. So we've got people driving through, and, it's all, everybody's in their cars.
Wow.
So I've seen even people celebrating birthdays, and they've had the entertainment driving through or walking past their front door.
Amazing.
So we've had entertainers like clowns and musicians and things like that going to nursing homes, and they've been doing it through glass. So they've been trying to entertain, people in hospitals through glass. So we've seen all sorts of different things kind of going on, and people have pivoted in the most extraordinary ways.
Yeah. That's fascinating. It actually brings up a great question. Is there anything that you think, just in general, that we've done to pivot in this period that is going to make way for a new normal now in terms of how events are looked at and how events are organized or executed? Is there anything that's been a real major aha moment for events, and people carry that through from now on?
I think, we're not over it yet. And I think going forward, there's going to be some massive changes. The events industry has to learn from other industries and what they're doing and how they're coping, because, if you think of large events are not, public events or large events, they're not going to look like they did right at the moment while we're going through this COVID period. So going through it, we're going to see, there's going to be, hand washing stations and, sanitizer stations. And then we might even end up making them into activities, So I don't know how we're going to do it. Are we going to be doing, face mask painting, and then we wear that for the day instead of a masquerade party? We're going to be doing a mask parties.
Definitely.
But, we're going to have to learn of, how other industries are doing it, like, how hospitals are doing it, and how we can bring that on. I mean, if you've got a very big event and you've got 1,500 people coming to that event or more, or, whatever, I mean, we can't have everyone arriving at the same time. At the moment in Sydney, we can have 300 people at an event, which is fantastic, but it's one person every 4 square meters for the venue. So if the venue is smaller than that, then you can't have that many people. So it's whichever is the, if your venue is,
If it's a
smaller,
smaller room, it's less people,
smaller,
but as long as you maintain that distance.
Ratio, yeah.
Gotcha.
We've got amazing technology that can help you network, which is fantastic. So I'm working with another company at the moment that if you want, and it's already available, you can actually network instead of actually going up to people. If you're in a room, what you can do is you can see who's in the room without going up to them and saying, oh, there's Darren Saul, I can go and talk to him, and it tells me who he is.
Oh my God.
And then what I can do is go up and just tap your phone and get your contact details straight into my phone.
Oh,
so there's great networking things, and that's what I'm kind of really getting exposed to, the most amazing technologies that are out there that have come out of COVID.
Wow.
And I think that going forward, we're going to see all this technology, and we're going to see how we can utilize it. So this technology probably wouldn't have come for a couple of years, but because we've had COVID, it's pushed it, and people have innovated so well.
Yep.
And I think, I was speaking with another colleague the other day who has developed this software that is a full-blown exhibition.
Whoa.
You can actually walk through as an avatar in this exhibition hall, and you can go up to people and have conversation. And if you're in this circle in this exhibition hall, it's like a gamification. So it's a gamification. So any conferences or that people want to put on, if they're looking to do that, they should give me a call, because I can put them in touch with the people who have got this kind of software.
And so is this virtual? Is that what you mean? It's totally virtual?
Totally virtual. Totally virtual.
God.
So, I think in the beginning, once we start getting back into events and, we're going to see, small events happening. And I think everyone's going to be just starting out small because they'll be cautious.
Yep.
And we want to make sure that everyone's safe and well. That's one thing, but we're also going to see that events are going to be very much hybrid. So because people are not going to travel for a while still, we're going to see that they're going to make sure that whatever they're doing, and the speakers from around the world will get on through the platforms and without having to have the pay for the travel. Mm-hmm. So they'll have more money to spend on speakers and technology. So technology, we're going to see sort of a very much a hybrid type of style of events going forward. And that could really resonate into weddings as well as funerals and, private events,
Fascinating what people do when
married, if they can't be there because it's limited to a certain amount of people. Right. I mean, Melbourne's in a different situation. They can't have events yet. No. Queensland is also different. So, I think going forward, we're just going to have to try and utilize some of this amazing technology that's come out of COVID. And it's some really exciting stuff, Darren, really exciting stuff.
Sounds like it. That's fascinating. It's amazing what people can come up with when they're under pressure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, fascinating. And so tell us about your new platform, EventBuzz360. Obviously that's come through under the same pressure. You've pivoted and you've created EventBuzz360. So tell us a bit about it.
Well, I have to admit, because I want to be honest here, that I actually had this in the pipelines. But what we want to do is, EventBuzz360 is a platform for the events industry. The events industry is a creative industry, and I haven't found a platform that allows suppliers to showcase what they do. Yep. As a photographer, you go to an event, you take photos, you want to be able to upload them. Yes. Now, you go to your Instagram and you can upload them, but only to your audience, really. Right. And then it's not really to a specific industry. So EventBuzz360 is a little bit like Instagram. It's a little bit like, I suppose in that way. So as a supplier, you can come on the platform, you can upload your pictures, you can promote yourself, and it's there for the events industry to collaborate. I'm hoping that people will want to collaborate with us. We're looking to try and create the largest events platform in the world. Yeah. So whether you're organising your event in Sydney or Hong Kong or London or UK, you can find your suppliers on our platform.
So it's like a marketplace as well, in a way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And, we're in the early stages of that because we've only just launched, but we've already got close to about 200 people on the platform. Fantastic. We've got about 700 photos uploaded already, and we're out the gate. We're just starting.
That's great. So if I want to organise an event in, Rome, might be somebody there that I can contact that is a photographer, that's a wedding planner, there's a caterer, there's a florist, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, one of my caterers that I know quite well, she had to organise an event in Sri Lanka. Right. And, she had to source suppliers over there. And it's not an easy thing, but if you got onto EventBuzz360, we're not there yet, but if you got onto EventBuzz360 and went to Sri Lanka and went, oh, great, all these suppliers, fabulous. She could have easily taken a lot of hours of time and research out of that.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're still early days. We're just trying to get suppliers on and get our name out there.
Yeah.
We've got some exciting things happening. So all those event people who have lost their jobs, we thought that we are pivoting because we probably would have brought on gone in a different direction. But because so many people lost their jobs, we are launching a platform probably early next year that will allow anybody who's putting on an event to that needs staff to help and support them.
Oh, great.
They'll be able to go there and put up a job, but they won't have to wait for people to apply. They'll be able to push a button and they'll see who's available with the skill set that they need to organise their event. And that's going to be covering, everything from event crew right through to event managers, event coordinators, event producers, waiters, cooks, and AV crew. We're trying to cover all of the area, marketers, so they'll be able to find, work quickly, and we're able to support the industry as they ramp back up.
Beautiful. And how do you curate that? I mean, if there's a supplier that I want to find, then obviously it's difficult if I don't know an area or a country or a city, I don't have any network. It'll be great to go to your site and say, okay, I know that anyone on your site has been curated and is, 5-star supplier, and I don't have any issues booking them. How do you police that in a way?
Well, that's a really good question. And we are not going to stop people from being on our platform. When they apply, we take a look at who they are, and if we can recognise that they're a legit company, then we accept them. If we don't know who they are and they've got a very peculiar email address, or we can't recognise their name as a legitimate supplier, then we won't take them on.
Gotcha. Yep.
Also on EventBuzz360, you can review. So we highly recommend that people get reviews. And, if somebody gets, then they will get kind of warnings, not one, but, if their rating is around 1 and 2, then they probably won't be staying on our platform, because we want to have quality providers on the platform. Perfect. We are giving suppliers the ability to be on the platform for free. Right. So we want to make sure that they respect that. We want to give an equal opportunity to anybody who wants to be on the platform. We don't want, some people have got advertising budgets, and some people are smaller players and don't have those advertising budgets. So we don't want to restrict anybody. We just ask that you upload great imagery and great work. And that you get good reviews is important. Definitely. Later on, we will be offering a Pro Plus opportunity. So if you wanted to be the top, photographer in your sector, in your location, you can pay to be pushed up in the categories. And we'll also be offering, advertising at a point as well. But at the moment, everything is free. We don't restrict you for categories that you want to be in, or, locations that you want to promote yourself in. We just want you to get some exposure and help us spread the word. So anyone who wants to, be on the platform, we ask that you kind of help share it along, share the love. That's awesome. Spread the love, whatever.
Yep, beautiful.
If you like what we're doing,
Well done. And was it easy to come up with that name, EventBuzz360?
Oh, gosh, no. We probably went through. In fact, I met an amazing woman, actually, after, in the last couple of months, I met this amazing woman who's a woman who actually comes up with business names and slogans. And she writes a book about it. And, she's actually going to be on, I don't know if she's on EventBuzz360, but she's coming on to EventBuzz360, and she's phenomenal. Right. And I think, EventBuzz360 was very difficult to come up with. I like the idea of buzz, because when I'm doing an event, it's such a buzz.
All about the buzz, absolutely.
Everyone's excited. Yep. people are excited to meet other people. People are happy.
Yep.
And, you know, whether you're organizing an engagement, a wedding, a conference, people are happy, you know.
And that's what carries you through, even as a supplier. You know, they can be
Yeah.
long days and exhausting, but the buzz just carries you through because you're having so much fun.
You don't think about food. You don't think about the amount of steps that you've done, you know, at a conference. You know, I think I did, I can't tell you how many things. I can't remember now how many steps I did, but it was extraordinary amount of steps in, you know, 4 days of an event, you know, a few hours of sleep and a lot of walking. Because, you know, when you're at a convention center, if anyone has ever been to a convention center, there's a lot of walking, a lot of rooms to get through. And every time you need somebody, you end up walking it. And, you know, I was like this speedo. You know, there's such a great atmosphere, and, you know, some people get a little bit crabby, but generally I see my team and, you know, the people I work with have been quite, you know, happy, and there's such a buzz about events. And I just wanted to encapsulate that into EventBuzz360. And, you know, the 360 came was because we couldn't get just eventbuzz.com. Gotcha. So we stuck a 360 on it, and it really works anyway. Because,
that works,
you know, we want to be global. We want to help you know, we've got over 60 different categories on EventBuzz360. Not all the categories are full just yet, but we're working towards that, you know.
It also kind of is in line with the whole ethos of event coordination from a 360-degree point of view. Where 100%. You handle everything.
Yeah, you can spin it any which way. And I liked it, and I've been complimented on it quite a few times, which is quite nice.
So you know you got the right one. You won't be changing it.
When you get complimented, it's like, it's like the world. Nice. You know, before coming onto this podcast, I was just speaking to a speaker, and I said to him, if you're in front of your computer, just quickly type in, you know, eventbuzz360.com. And he couldn't talk to me. He goes, oh my God, this is amazing what you've come up with, what you've done. Oh my God. And I was like, really just like, so, you know, proud, you know, really felt proud that I've delivered something that the industry loves. Because at the end of the day, we wanted to create something that the suppliers love as well as much as the users.
Awesome. Well done. I mean, that sounds so exciting. And obviously that's taken up a lot of your time, but have some events starting to come back, smaller ones starting to come back now?
Yes, some suppliers have told me that, yes, they're busy doing small events.
Oh, good.
Homes, I think people can have, well, it was 20. I don't know what that is at the moment in Sydney. I think it's about
20 Sydney as well.
Yeah, I think it's around 20. So people are having, you know, family functions and birthday parties, and they're, you know, getting balloons delivered. They're getting, you know, I saw actually a llama come the other day in the street. So obviously somebody's having a nice birthday party, kid's birthday party. So I think things are starting in Sydney, but, you know, in Sri Lanka at the moment, I know there's a huge lockdown there. There's still lockdown in Melbourne. Sri Lanka's like gone in a lockdown for 2 months. Melbourne's starting to come out of it. They only can go to the park with some friends, like another friend at the moment. So it's different in every state, to be honest, at the moment. And I think, you know, some states are a lot more relaxed and other states are a little, you know, a bit more stressful. I believe Australians can actually travel to Vietnam. It's a safe place to go at the moment. So I think, you know, if people are having holidays in Australia, I think, you know, people in New South Wales are certainly traveling to, you know, regional areas, and which is great, because after the fires last January and COVID, they really need the business. So
fantastic. Let's hope
events are starting to come back.
Let's hope that it all goes from strength to strength, and
and speakers are starting to get, you know, speaking jobs. They're still virtual, a lot of them, but a lot of the AV companies have built studios. And, you know, we're working on another project there as well, that we'll be hopefully bringing to the industry. And there's some exciting things ahead. And I think whilst everyone's still, you know, finding it difficult in the events industry, we're very much supporting ourselves on a globe, supporting each other rather, not supporting ourselves, but supporting each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. I've actually really loved about COVID is that the barriers of you're in the same space as me have kind of come down, and we're all in this together. And,
Definitely.
you know, I think that's really, really good. And I really like that. I love how big companies are collaborating and event companies are collaborating with other event companies.
Yep.
And we're all looking to see how we can support one another.
Yep.
And I think going forward, I hope that that continues.
Yep, totally agree. I think it's, you know, if it's done anything, it's changed our perspective, and we all start collaborating and removing ego from what we do.
100%. You know, that's it. We've got to break down that ego and go, you know, whilst I take obviously a lot of credit for EventBuzz360 being the co-founder and co-CEO, I can't take it all.
That's right.
So, you know, everyone, you know, I've had help around it. You know, I've had developers and I've had, you know, family help, as in, you know, my kids and my husband have all contributed to it. We're, you know, and then we're also listening to what suppliers want as well.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Beautiful. I think it's a great thing. I agree. I mean, and how, if people want to find out more about you and connect with you with either business, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn under Nicole Santer, and I'm on, you can send us an email at hello@eventbuzz360.com. You can have a look at us at eventbuzz360.com as well. We're here, and, you know, we're on all social. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, all the usual.
You're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
It's the way to be nowadays. Absolutely.
Oh, look, you know what? It's just, there's good times ahead. You know, I think we're whilst we are going through a lot of difficulty, I think, you know, there's going to be an upside. There's going to be a great, you know, after these times, I know that people are wanting to get out there. People are wanting to get back onto it. Corporates are going to want to be doing,
for sure,
you know, launches and their conferences, and they want to get back out there, and they want to let everyone know that we're still here and we're still going to support you with making great conferences and events. So, you know, I think that is going to be here for a long time to come. They're still saying that the events industry is going to almost double in the next 6 years.
Wow.
So,
my God.
Yeah, we're in for a bit of a ride. So I think we just got to get through the COVID, and I think events are going to be back to normal in no time. And you know, I think, you know, it's like if you remember when we went through 9/11, and the whole world was affected by that, even though we weren't in New York.
Yes.
And you know, people thought, I'm not going to New York. Oh, I'm not getting on a plane, let alone going to New York.
Yeah.
But you know, the airports, they all did, you know, amazing security. They made us feel much more comfortable getting back on planes. We're going to have to do the same, you know, whether we're going to holidays, getting on planes, going to the hospital, doing events. Life is going to have to continue and go on. We're just going to have to think about it slightly differently and, you know, work our way through it. And, you know, we're here to support anybody who's, you know, doing events or has events suppliers. You know, we want to be here to help and support and help you with any advice that you need as well for putting on events.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, Nicole, thank you so much. It's been such a lovely conversation and such a positive conversation. And we hope that everybody out there in the events and everybody else really takes stock of what we're talking about. And, you know, we all get through this together, and then the industry bounces back from strength to strength. You know,
I think we will. And thank you so much, Darren, for having me on your show.
My pleasure. And do you want to leave us with any parting thoughts? Anything else?
I think, you know, the future is exciting, and I think sometimes we just kind of got to hold on and steer our ship. I think the SEALs, you know, the American SEALs, Navy SEALs say, you know, hold on or hold fast or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. So, which means like they, you know, say, because they're on a ship, they say hold on to the side of the ship, you know, so hold on fast. And then they've got the steering wheel, which is, you know, stay on track. So I say to everybody, just hold on and stay on track and keep, you know, going forward, because those big waves are going to kind of settle down and we'll be cruising again in no time.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, Nicole, thank you so much again. For everybody out there, have a fantastic day. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, and I'm going to put all the links to all Nicole's businesses in the show notes, so please look her up and find out more about both her Extraordinary Events and EventBuzz360. And if you're an event supplier, jump on that as well and register. And everybody out there, have a great day, and we'll see you very, very soon for another episode. Bye for now.